The Anglo-Boer War, fought between 1899 and 1902, was far more than a colonial skirmish. It stands as a pivotal and brutal conflict in the annals of British imperial history. Often overshadowed by the global wars that followed, its true impact profoundly reshaped the very foundations of the British Empire. This war fundamentally challenged Britain's perceived invincibility and forced a stark reckoning with its imperial future. It was a crucible that forged new identities, exposed deep vulnerabilities, and ignited a fierce debate about the empire's moral compass. The reverberations of this conflict would echo for decades, irrevocably altering Britain's global standing and its relationship with its vast dominions. The Anglo-Boer War directly challenged Britain's image as the undisputed global superpower. Its struggles against a smaller, determined adversary exposed significant cracks in its formidable facade. The conflict highlighted an undeniable truth. Britain's imperial reach did not guarantee effortless dominance. This protracted and costly war revealed vulnerabilities in the empire's military capabilities and political strategies. Other world powers observed Britain's difficulties with keen interest, beginning to question the sustainability of Pax Britannica. The war thus served as an early warning that the era of unchallenged imperial authority was slowly drawing to a close. A significant outcome of the war was the elevated status and growing assertiveness of Britain's self-governing dominions. Canada, Australia, New Zealand, and other territories actively contributed troops and resources to the British war effort. Their soldiers fought valiantly alongside British regulars, enduring the same hardships and facing the same enemy. This shared sacrifice fostered a stronger sense of independent national identity among the Dominions. They had proven their loyalty and capability on the world stage, demanding greater recognition within the imperial structure. This contribution laid essential groundwork for their future autonomy and eventual emergence as independent nations. The war effectively accelerated the transition from colonies to partners. The Anglo-Boer War sparked widespread international criticism, casting a shadow over Britain's reputation. Many European nations, often harboring their own imperial ambitions, condemned Britain's actions. The conflict fueled anti-British sentiment across the globe. Domestically, within Britain itself, the war generated significant opposition and division. Public opinion was sharply polarized on the morality, conduct, and necessity of the conflict. Intellectuals, politicians, and everyday citizens debated the justice of the war and the tactics employed. This internal dissent was a powerful indicator of a changing national consciousness, less willing to accept imperial ventures without question. Perhaps most damning were the allegations of war crimes raised against British forces during the conflict. The methods used to suppress the Boer resistance drew intense scrutiny and condemnation. These allegations led to profound moral concerns within Britain about the nature of imperial power. The war forced a re-evaluation of Britain's ethical responsibilities as a global imperial power. It challenged the prevailing narrative of benevolent British rule, exposing the often harsh realities of maintaining an empire. This moral reckoning would subtly influence future imperial policies and public discourse. British forces, steeped in traditional European military doctrine, struggled profoundly against the unconventional Boer tactics. The highly mobile and adaptable Boer Commandos employed effective guerrilla warfare strategies. They understood their terrain intimately and used it to their advantage. The conventional military approach, with its reliance on massed infantry and cavalry charges, proved largely inadequate. The Boers inflicted costly defeats, highlighting the need for strategic innovation and adaptation. This stark military challenge forced British commanders to rethink their long-held assumptions about modern warfare. In response to the persistent Boer guerrilla campaign, the British implemented controversial and devastating policies. These included widespread scorched earth tactics designed to deprive the Boers of sustenance and civilian support. Farms were burned, and livestock were systematically destroyed. The establishment of concentration camps for Boer civilians became an enduring and highly contentious issue. These camps were intended to house civilians displaced by the scorched earth policy, preventing them from aiding the guerrillas. However, due to woefully inadequate sanitation, food, and medical provisions, conditions in these camps were appalling. Many civilians, particularly women and children, died in these camps from disease and starvation. This tragic human cost ignited international outrage and remains a dark stain on British imperial history. The camps served as a stark reminder of the brutal consequences of imperial conflict. The Anglo-Boer War exposed significant military weaknesses within the British Army. Deficiencies in training, logistics, intelligence gathering, and overall command structure became painfully apparent. The initial unpreparedness for irregular warfare was particularly glaring. The high casualty rates and prolonged nature of the conflict demanded fundamental change. The experience prompted crucial and wide-ranging military reforms across the entire British Empire. These reforms aimed to modernize the army, improve training, and adapt to the evolving demands of modern warfare. The lessons learned in South Africa directly influenced British military thinking for decades. The Anglo-Boer War placed an immense strain on the British Empire's finances. It proved to be an incredibly expensive undertaking, far surpassing initial estimations. The cost of maintaining a large army over vast distances, coupled with the extended duration of the conflict, drained the treasury. The war incurred a vast sum, significantly impacting the imperial budget and diverting resources from other areas. This financial drain would have lasting economic repercussions, contributing to a broader re-evaluation of imperial priorities. The expense underscored the increasing cost of maintaining a global empire. Beyond the financial outlay, the conflict exacted a devastating human cost on the British Empire. Over 120,000 casualties were recorded for the British and their imperial forces. This staggering figure included those killed in action, wounded, and those who succumbed to disease. A significant proportion of these casualties, sadly, were due to disease rather than direct combat. Typhoid, dysentery, and other illnesses ravaged the troops in unsanitary conditions. The human toll was a grim reminder of the sacrifices demanded by imperial ambition. The war ultimately led to the unification of South Africa under British control, a key strategic goal for the empire. The two independent Boer republics, the Transvaal and the Orange Free State, were absorbed into the new Union of South Africa. This territorial consolidation reshaped the geopolitical landscape of the region. However, this unification came at a severe and tragic cost. It led to the institutionalization and entrenchment of racial discrimination against the black population. The post-war settlement, largely driven by reconciliation between white English and African-speaking communities, marginalized the indigenous majority. The policies enacted in the aftermath of the war, particularly regarding land ownership and political rights, directly set the stage for the later implementation of apartheid. The Anglo-Boer War, therefore, cast a long, dark shadow over the future of South Africa, contributing to a legacy of racial injustice that would endure for generations. Its impact was felt most acutely by those whose voices were least heard. The empire survived the Boer War, but it was never the same again. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the hidden side of history, make sure to like and subscribe to Ancient Historian. We'll see you in the next era.